Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today in the group I'm going to talk about apparently they discontinued the Ledger Nano S, and if you've been here a while, or they are discontinuing it, if you've been here a while, we were all using these things for a long time, and in the group I'm going to show you what that means for you and what you can do to. It's really not a big deal, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with any. There was a 20 XRP reserve on a lot of those things, and I think they decreased it a while back. I've got a few of those things that I need to move some XRP off of. I'll tell you what I'm going to do and what you do. Anyway, I'll go over that in the group. You can join the group at daixrp.com, or you can click join right here below any of these YouTube videos, or you can subscribe through X if you want to join the group. I was looking on Google earlier this morning and looking at all the layoffs. You got State Department layoffs, JCPenney layoffs, Bay Area Healthcare Network layoffs, San Diego Health, Google layoffs, Harvard Kennedy School layoffs, Microsoft. What else do we see here? Anyway, a bunch of layoffs that I was noticing. And guess what? A lot of times what seems like bad things are opportunities. Any of you people, anybody out there that's either retiring or being laid off, you can go to iTrustCapital like I did. You can get an IRA. You can roll over your 401k in all or in part into an iTrustCapital IRA. They are one of my partners, and if you're not being laid off, you can open the premium custody account. In both of these, you get institutional grade custody. The only fees you pay is a 1% trading fee. The custody's free. Don't pay for custody. That's silliness. You can go, but anyway, these guys have been around for a long time. I've had an account with them since 2018 or 19, and I know these guys. They're like, back when I first started, they were a tiny company. Now they're a massive company. So if you want to open an account, go to itrustcapital.com/XRP Army. They gave me my own little page here with digital perspectives. All right, the markets are down, and the markets are down, I guess, for a lot of the economic scares and all that. Also, maybe the Ripple judge denying to get rid of the injunction yesterday. Brad Garlinghouse must not be worried about it. He's hanging out at the Goldman Sachs Digital Assets Conference. I always laugh when I see Goldman Sachs talking digital assets, because if you go back when I first started my channel in 2018, I used to cover this all the time. I used to tell you, not only is Goldman Sachs coming into digital assets, but all of Wall Street is coming into digital assets. And this was at the time that Goldman Sachs was putting out, people from Goldman Sachs, there were articles coming out how it's all going to zero and all this stuff. And that's how they play the game. But now they're having a conversation with Ripple. You know what? You know the conversation that I'll bet you dimes to donuts that Goldman Sachs wants to have with Ripple more than anything? About an IPO. That's the conversation they really want to have with Brad Garlinghouse. I can assure you that one. They want a piece of that action. I guarantee it. Remember all that fear about, trade tariffs and Trump scaring the markets and all that? Well, guess what? Now the U.S. is in a better position than it was before. He has reached a trade deal with China.
We just signed with China yesterday, right? Just signed with China. We have everybody. We're not going to make deals with everybody. Some we're just going to send them a letter, say thank you very much. You're going to pay 25, 35, 45%. That's the easy way to do it. And my people don't want to do it that way. They want to do some of it, but they want to make more deals than I would do. But we're having some great deals. We have one coming up, maybe with India, very big one, where we're going to open up India. In the China deal, we're starting to open up China things.
Open it up. Now, David Sachs, the crypto czar. Thank you, Senate Banking Committee Chair Tim Scott, Digital Asset Subcommittee Chair Senator Cynthia Lummis, announcing a clear timeline and plan for comprehensive crypto market structure. Bill introduced before August recess. Markup first week of September, done by end of September. President Trump supports clarity on market structure as well as genius on stablecoins. Let's get this done. Then he says July will be a big month with a bill signing for genius and clarity going to the Senate. July. And then Greg Kidd, remember, I've always said Greg Kidd was one of the puppet masters, not just behind Ripple, but behind all of digital assets, in my opinion. Listen to what he says about what's coming.
I think the Genius Act is passing this summer. I don't think this is on a slow burn. I think this is on a fast burn. I think the market structure bill is going to happen this year too. It's game on. This is the year the planets all came together. It was coming, but this is the year it has happened. It's reflected at the highest levels of politics. Like if you go to Washington to the blockchain conference, I think 1 out of 10 people there was from Congress. Going forward, we don't see two worlds, we see one world. So anybody who's bridging that gap, like Bridge, that's what we're investing in.
I'd love to hear that.
Okay, that was with Ray Fuentes, an interview he did at XRP Las Vegas. And the official Cool Guy, the Digital Asset Investor Channel, makes an important point when the crypto market, and this is about the judge denying Ripple and the SEC yesterday. When the Crypto Market Clarity Act specifically defines XRP as a commodity, you'll ask yourself why you wasted so much time today crying about an injunction that centers around selling a security. See, if they get that bill, Ripple, I'm not an attorney, but my understanding is that Ripple will be able to go straight to the judge and say, wait a minute, we're declared a commodity, so let's get rid of that injunction. XRP's here. We've just added XRP. This is CoinMe that does the crypto ATM machines. They've got 28,000 retail locations across the U.S. where you can buy and sell XRP with cash now. This thing, folks, it's like day by day now we're getting new stuff that shows you where things are going. And at some point, all the people out there are going to start hearing from their friends, yeah, you've got XRP, you're earning yield. Yeah, you can go down to the ATM and get it. You're getting yield, you can borrow against it. You can get a mortgage with your XRP? Where can I get it? Well, you can go to the ATM if you want. XRP reached an all-time low of $0.002 on July 7th, 2014, nearly 11 years ago. At a current price of $2.12, XRP is up a staggering 76,312.05% from that low. They're not going to tell you that on CNBC, folks. And then here's a new partnership, Elise Network alongside Peersys to further expand XRP DeFi, including staking. Let me tell you what, folks. Look at the APR on this. Now, I'm not telling you this is the thing to do. I'm not going to do any staking until I can keep my XRP in institutional custody and understand all of the risks involved, risk of loss in any kind of way, or, what am I, for that return, what am I having to do for that return? What I really want to do is once through somebody that's working with Ripple is providing a yield, that's what I'm really looking for, but I think it's coming sooner rather than later. And we'll be talking about it here. Here's Bo Hines, and I said XRP Bo Hines, but he's a part of the government operation. They have to talk about only Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, so if you look at the EO, it did mandate an accounting to take place in which Treasury has spearheaded that. They have received
the numbers from the different agencies inside of government. There are a lot of different actors that held on to some Bitcoin in some fashion or another. Now the process begins in terms of establishing the reserve, the actual infrastructure behind it, and getting all of that accomplished. There's nothing in the EO that mandates that report become public, but we could choose to make it public at some point. And we are certainly keen on the idea of accumulation. We've stated publicly that Bitcoin is digital gold. We believe it's in the best interest of the United States to garner as much as we can possibly get. I've said that at every conference that I've spoken at in the last 2 to 3 months. Now, obviously, this has to be done in budget neutral ways that don't cost the taxpayer a dime. The president was clear about that in the executive order. But I think we have some very creative minds, 2 of which are sitting up here with me. And I think we'll begin moving very quickly on that.
And then our old buddy, Joseph Lubin, he's come out of timeout now. And make no mistake, he's come out of timeout. He was in timeout because of ETHGate. Once that was exposed, the SEC was put in a situation where they had to at least look like they were going after Ethereum. There were so many things there. I think the Bitcoin Ethereum people had a little bit of an alliance before we came along. I think that the monopoly that they were trying to get was broken up by the uncovering of ETHGate. And I'll say it again, anybody who tells you that ETHGate's not important, I think the uncovering of ETHGate is one of the most important things ever to happen in digital assets, because what was accomplished was first the exposure of the attempted monopoly, the monopoly attempt. I mean, think about it. You could have had Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I think that's what they were trying to do, and only tokens built on Ethereum is what all of us would be able to trade. Once ETHGate once that monopoly attempt was exposed, and for the first time ever, you saw Americans attacking a government agency, the SEC, which took a lot of guts. And then what came after that? Then you started seeing the Winklevosses and everybody else in crypto. Once they realized they were going to be attacked too, then they started going after the SEC. And then came the political donations. And it all started with the XRP army. Never forget that. But looks like everybody's going to get to win now, including Joseph Lubin, and that's okay with me.
Yeah, so Bitcoin has had first mover advantage, and it's really got a simple value proposition. It's a store of value. It's digital gold, decentralized digital gold. Ethereum represents the next generation.
Remember, ETHGate was never about hurting Bitcoin or Ethereum. We said it 1,000 times. It was about having a level playing field, and ultimately that is what we're getting now.
The internet, evolution of the internet and web protocols. Ethereum is Web 3, the re-decentralization of the World Wide Web. Ethereum's been building layers of enabling infrastructure for nearly a decade, trying to get scalable enough so that we can move applications onto decentralized rails. Builders are coming into the ecosystem now. Enterprises, financial institutions are now comfortable because it's now legal to do blockchain things in the U.S. With the new regime in the SEC and in U.S. government. Ethereum is now scalable enough, it's affordable enough, and it's usable enough so that the best and brightest entrepreneurs are going to be able to build applications of by and for the community rather than, as in the traditional economy or in Web 2, in an adversarial nature with their users. So it's going to be a game changer for how the world re-architects its systems. Yeah, so Bitcoin.
Okay, and then we have this from Masari. This is awesome. Ripple eyeing multiple acquisitions, Ethereum-like upgrades to the XRP ledger. Well, before it's over, they'll be saying Ethereum wants to be like XRP, like the XRP ledger. I've always felt like Ethereum was prototyping. I'll never forget when Matt Hamilton, who was he was originally a developer for on the XRP ledger, went and became a developer on Ethereum, and he said in a Spaces I was making dinner one night, and I had a Spaces that I was listening to on X. And I heard him say, The reason Ethereum has so many developers is because there's so many things to fix. And he said the XRP ledger doesn't have that problem. Okay, we're going to go into daixrp.com, the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click the join button below this, or you can subscribe through X if you'd prefer to do that. I post my videos and the extended video with no commercials in all three of those. We're going to talk about the the discontinuation of the Ledger Nano S and why that's not a big deal, what you can do, how you do it. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family, away we go.